everyone, and welcome back to a year in the TikTok of AntiDietPilot. Now, this was a request for someone for thanks to my subscribers November. After this, there is actually an open slot, so I'm going to be I'll decide on something to do. I'm thinking maybe a Marissa look. That might be good. I'm not sure. We'll see. But someone requested more AntiDietPilot, so that is what we're going to do. I believe we are starting off where we left off in the last one, which is this video, and we'll just see how far we get.
I finally have the skin I've wanted my entire life. There are literally 2 products on my skin. I don't see enough of the girls talking about this serum. I love all the fresh moisturizers, but I love her. Every time I see it in a set, y'all need to sell this out. What are you doing? I finally have the
So surprisingly enough, I like that she puts not sponsored, but two, like I'm kind of surprised, but I kind of agree with her. Like I don't think that you need, like we do see these outrageously long skincare routines. My sister at one point had like a 15-step skincare routine. I think she's whittled that down quite a bit now. I don't know. I don't really keep track of it, but I'm very much I like face masks, and I did find one moisturizer that does not make my skin break out, so I use that and then wash my face with Cetaphil and sunscreen when needed. Like that's the extent, and I don't do the face masks every day and I don't do the moisturizer every day. I'm not terribly consistent with it. It's just when I remember I do it sort of thing. But I think the biggest thing with skincare is washing your face and wearing sunscreen. Moisturizers aren't a bad idea, but like I don't think that you need a 10, 15, 30 step care skin routine. If you find something that works for you, that's great. I'm glad that she found products that work for her. I can already tell that that would not work for me because it has an artificial fragrance in it, which means my skin would probably burn. I'm very allergic to fragrance, but I'm glad that she found something that works for her. I'm going to end this with when you're watching any influencer and they're suggesting something for like everyday, for like everyone to use, take some consideration into the ingredients that are in it because it may not work for you. Also, take into consideration the price point because sometimes even if something's really expensive doesn't mean that it's going to work for you and doesn't mean that it's flawless, you know?
You mean to tell me this is what I look like with no lash extensions, no makeup, and I'm single? You could literally roll over the next morning. Of course, I will have a bonnet on. But you could roll over and you could look at me and be like, oh my God, that's my queen. Me! But I'm single. What is wrong with y'all?
So someone over here says, I agree. She's not very likable. She's not very likable. And then she responds to it saying, it's the unloyal, no money having under 6'2" men wasting my time. And like, I think unloyal is a reasonable, like you want someone who's loyal. I completely get that. No money having, given what we've seen from her, I don't know what no money having really it means. And under 6'2", 6'2" is fucking tall. Like I never really understood height requirements, but I'm also asexual, so that could just be that. But like if someone is a really good person, you trust them, you feel a connection with them. I don't really understand what height has to do with it, but whatever. That's fine if that's her thing, that's what she's attracted to. But if you're complaining about being single, then maybe it's not guaranteed, but there's a chance that your standards might be too high with her. I think that in particular, I think that's probably the case. And also just the like I look like this without all that and I'm single. If the only thing that you think you bring to the relationship is your looks, that's probably why you're single. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of girls that maybe view themselves as only having their looks and nothing else that they bring to the table, but with Anti-Diet Pilot in particular, we've seen how rude she can be, how judgmental she can be, how on her high horse about stupid shit she can be. So it doesn't really surprise me that she's single. She's not very likable. Okay,
I
so
will
it seems
fuck,
like
bitch.
she's just gonna lip sync with this. So as they say, when my geriatric haters try to fuck me over, but aren't smart enough to get away with it and end up boosting my bank account instead. Yeah, this person, I need details because geriatric. My guess is that they're far from geriatric, and this is just an ageist insult. We'll see. I'm curious about this one because the details behind this would be very helpful, and I'm curious if she's going to give any.
I like to think of myself as a pretty educated person. I never give into marketing. Whenever I get this type of green juice, I always get this one. This is like my favorite one. It tastes so good. It's delicious. This time I decided to get this one because it has this organic seal. And the first couple of ingredients, they look similar. So I was like, let's just try it. You know, I'm at the grocery store. There's lots of people around. I'm not going in depth. When I get home and I drink this entire thing, I realized while I'm on TikTok Live, I was like, this is literally romaine lettuce. Now they list it all the way at the bottom here. I just drank. Do you know what's in romaine lettuce? Water. Water. For a nice brisk $5.99 from Whole Foods. God damn it.
So in
I like to
general,
think of myself as
this is just, I'm not trying to be elitist here. Like, people, if you want to drink green juice, go ahead. In general, mass produced green juice tends to have a lot of sugar in it. Granted, I used to drink the Odwalla green juice, which once I became more educated on how to read nutrition labels, I realized how much sugar is in fucking Odwalla green juice, and I've kind of stopped buying juices. I don't think that it's necessarily an issue to drink them if you're making them yourself. And in general, as long as you know what you're drinking when you go to get a green juice, it's fine. But this is another testament of look at nutrition labels, look at the ingredients list, because honestly, you could probably make the green juice in bulk at home for much cheaper. And in general, like there's other ways to also get veggies in. I genuinely don't have an issue with green juice as a concept. Uh, but I think that mass produced green juice is often uh it uses a lot of concentrates, at least from the ones that I've looked at. And it's just so high in sugar that it doesn't really justify the nutrients that you're getting from it. Because and the reason why it doesn't the sugar doesn't justify the nutrients because there's sugar in fruit and fruit is fine. But with fruit you're getting the fiber. But with a lot of green juices you're getting concentrates, which means there's no fiber in that. You're just getting what's essentially the sugar content of it. So green juice and green smoothies are great if you kind of know what you're actually in general. I'm not a big I prefer smoothies to juice because smoothies actually keep the fiber of the fruit. And there is some argument that yeah, some of the fiber breaks down and you don't actually get as much fiber as you would eating the whole thing. But if you need to like drink your nutrients, I think smoothies are probably the way to go. Uh, because you get to keep all of the nutrients with it, and then you get the fiber content as well. But you get the most benefit when you make it on your own at home with actual whole foods, not pre-prepared, highly processed from concentrate. A lot of these sort of juices. I'm not trying to shame anyone that likes these. I'm just saying be aware.
30% off select items. Y'all didn't even try to entice
So
us.
this
We were
seems to be
already
like
gonna boycott, but
something
y'all didn't
against
even
Black Friday
try.
last year. I don't know about y'all. Last year I fucking cleaned house at Joann's. Uh, last year I got so much stuffing for stuffed animals. I got like the cuddle fleece that is not quite minky, but it's closer to that. I got some Pokemon crochet books. I fucking cleaned house last year for a couple of different patterns when it came to buy. I didn't go to Joann's this year or Michael's. I've made a point to not go this year because there's nothing that I need. Like I was really tempted by Michael's buy one get two free on their canvas on their like painting canvases, but like I'm stocked on canvas. I don't need more canvas. I need to paint what I have first. I'm really trying to be a bit more mindful with my spending and buying what I need for like the next project that I'm actively going to work on, not with a bunch of theoretical projects that I have in the future. But also, I just want to say that we still haven't heard anything about the geriatric person that came for her. So I would like more of a story time on that because right now it just seems like she gave this blanket thing and nothing actually happened, or if something did happen, it was probably smaller than she's putting it out there, and the geriatric might have very well just been someone in their late 30s or early 40s.
If a guy asks you on a coffee date and he's shown no other red flags and your immediate reaction is to get offended and block him and ghost him, then you're part of the problem. Okay, bestie, well, I hope whatever podcast you were auditioning for, they pick you. I'm going to personally explain why I don't go on coffee dates and why I don't think
I don't know what it is. It's not This isn't just an anti-diet pilot thing. This is something that I generally have an issue with. Now, granted, as with all my things relating to dating, I don't date, so perhaps, but I actually would kind of prefer a coffee date to as like the first date, I think. If I'm thinking about it, I think I would prefer that because it's less pressure. I have a lot of social anxiety, and so the pressure of like a dinner date, I think is would make me more avoidant, and I think that coffee dates have their place. And I think that if a guy offers a coffee date and like she said has no other red flags, then I think I mean, you don't owe the guy an explanation, but I think it would be nice to explain why you don't want like what exactly is the issue with the coffee date? I guess I'm even confused about that. But then to come at that, like fine, she disagrees with it. That's totally fine. Difference of opinion. We can settle on that. But then to come at it like, what podcast you're auditioning for? I don't like that when women have like everything comes back. Even those that are like, "Oh, you know, you the pick me's," and there is an issue with some pick me's, but not every person that has a dissenting opinion that is contrary to whatever sphere you're in is necessarily a pick me. I did not get pick me energy from that woman. Felt like she was expressing an opinion, and I mean, AntiDietPilot can do the same thing, so we're gonna finish listening and see what she has to say. I just didn't like that she entered it with whatever podcast you're auditioning for as a way to put down that woman's opinion rather than just coming at her opinion with her own opinion. It just, I don't like the put down shit, you know?
other women should be telling women what to do with their dating preferences. It's just kind of weird to me. I'm also going to explain exactly what I do when a man has the audacity to ask me on a coffee date because I'm going to be honest, she's right. Some men don't know better. Some men are just like, oh, I think women want that. You have to tell them what they want, right? And we'll get into that. I don't go on coffee dates for three very basic reasons. Number one, I don't enjoy sitting at coffee shops. I don't like the tiny chairs. I don't like the tables. I don't like how loud it is. I don't like
That seems very reasonable, and I apparently spoke too soon because her biggest issue seemed to be more that it was a woman telling other women about their dating preferences, which is a valid point. So I'm going to take that I jumped the gun on that one. So far she's outlined her points, I think, pretty reasonably.
when it's quiet. I don't like how quiet it is. It's just uncomfortable. I'd rather like be in my home with my own coffee. I always get my coffee to go. It's been like that for the past like 5 years. Number two, when do you want coffee? Morning or afternoon? When do I want to go on a date? Probably after 8 p.m. I'm not getting coffee at 8 p.m. I'm not going to go on a date before 8 p.m. That's just my personal preference. That's my agenda. That's my schedule. I don't care if it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Not gonna happen. I go on a date after 8 when my day is over. Number three, I'm really open with men that I'm looking for somebody who adds something to my life. And so to me, a date is a preview of what I can expect in a treatment of our relationship. So, and this might hurt some people's feelings, and I know not everyone has a control over their income, but if dropping like 200, 250 on dinner on a random Wednesday night is too much for you, you're probably not the man for me. I'm gonna be really honest. And there's no hard feelings, but those are the type of men who can't really afford dinner. They want to like meet you. They want to go out for ice cream. They want to go for a walk. They want to go get coffee. That's what those types of men want to do. And it's no disrespect to them, but like I personally don't like it. So when a man asks me to go on a coffee date, here's what I say. So like I'm very serious about this. You can also use ChatGPT and like kind of edit these as they go along, but I have multiple different
So the kind of template that she has, to be completely straightforward with you, I'm looking to meet someone who's willing to make an effort to take me out and spend time getting to know me, like for dinner or any other outing with a set date, place, and plan. Quick coffee meets are not my thing. Totally understand and respect if you are looking for something different. Um, so and then it kind of goes on from there. I don't think it's worth reading the whole thing. So here's the thing though. I don't like if this is her personal opinion, like it's her personal opinion. If it's what she wants, if it's what she prefers, that's fine. I think the woman was getting more at like acting like it's offensive for a man to suggest a coffee date and then ghosting him, and that doesn't even seem to be what anti-diet pilot does. She's like, hey, that's not what I'm looking for. She's very straightforward. Like I can respect that she's straightforward about what she wants. Like I don't think she's a very likable person. I think her standards are like extremely high in a lot of circumstances, but that's her. That's her, that's her dating preferences, and the fact that she would be straightforward and say, "Hey, I'm not a coffee date sort of person. I want to be wine I want to be wined and dined." Like I think being straightforward about what you want is, while some people may view it as rude and stuff, I kind of think I see it more as a virtue where it's like, "Hey, you're not wasting anyone's time. You're like, that's not what I'm doing. This is what I want. And if you can't meet that, that's fine. But then we need to go our separate ways because I don't want to invest time in a relationship that I don't see going long term." I mean, do I think, do I agree with her? No, but I do appreciate that she's straightforward about what she wants and she kind of sticks to it, you know?
Paragraph about, you know, hey, I don't want to do that. Can we go out for dinner instead? And I also have some rebuttals just in case it's not clear to them. I do actually try, but again, I'm not looking for a man to go on a coffee date with. And if that's
In general, I think personally, I think if you're straightforward saying, "Hey, I don't want to do the coffee date thing. I want to be wined and dined. This isn't working for me, and if this is what you want, I think we should go our two separate ways." And the man comes back with calling her hype maintenance or whatever. At that point, she doesn't have to respond. She can block him and move on. You state what you're looking for, and the other person can either kind of take it or leave. I don't necessarily have a problem with that, in all honesty. Um, I appreciate straightforwardness.
you, that's totally fine. And I know you'll find it because there's some women who want that. But I don't. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with not wanting to go on a coffee date. Just because a man asks you to do something and they're trying doesn't mean you have to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, if that's not your vibe, like, you're probably not going to get a
But here, the point that she was getting wasn't necessarily that like you have to go on the coffee date if a guy is trying. Um, it was treating him asking to go on a coffee date as like this big thing that deserves to be ghosted and blocked over. Granted, I'm not in the dating scene. I don't know all of that. I think that ghosting and blocking someone that has otherwise shown no toxic traits or no significant issues, blocking them over them asking for a coffee date is a little rude, a little extreme. And in general, I'm just big on politeness. If you're either, well, politeness for within reason, like you're straightforward, you can be firm about what you want, but I think giving someone a response of, "Hey, that's not going to work for me," would be the polite thing to do in this circumstance. And if the goal is to eventually meet someone, I don't see the benefit of treating someone that doesn't necessarily meet what you're looking for in a partner like trash. I don't see how that is a good thing to do, you know?
long. Like, I'm not going to go ever go on a coffee date. I'm just seriously not going to do it.
And I think that's fine. I think if coffee dates aren't your thing, you can totally say, "Hey, that's not my thing. I'm not going to do that. That's not what I fuck with." And we can just go our own separate ways. I don't think there's anything wrong with being firm about what you want. I just think that blocking and ghosting someone for merely suggesting a coffee date is a bit extreme.
I was very set on getting lip filler like 2 weeks ago, and I decided I'm not going to get it because I want to age like Jennifer Aniston. And my new motto is WWJAD. What would Jennifer Aniston do? Would Jennifer Aniston get lip filler to make her lips bigger? No. Jennifer Aniston would only get lip filler if it was to replenish lost volume. Would Jennifer Aniston freeze her entire face at the young age of 27 years old? No, she would not. She's going to Botox the areas as necessary. That is the new mentality that I have adopted, and that is why I'm not going to get lip filler. In my opinion, and I'm using Courtney Cox as an example. Courtney Cox had a lot of work done, okay? She enhanced her features, as they like to call it. And, you know, there was a time where it was a little much, and she had to do all this corrective shit to correct her face. Meanwhile, Jennifer Aniston, the girl doesn't age. I think whether people like to admit it or not, people that get filler and Botox, like a lot of it, there's always going to be something about your face that you don't like. Say I get lip filler, right? Now there's going to be something else that I like hyper focus on my face. I'm going to want to get that fixed. I'm going to want to get this fixed. I'm going to want to get this fixed. And then all of a sudden, my whole facial symmetry is just lost. I don't even look like myself anymore. I want to look like myself when I'm 50, 60 years old. I'm going to go in for baby Botox, which is what stimulated this entire conversation. But that's because I started to get fine lines. See, I noticed something and I'm going to stop it in its track. But I'm not going to go ham. I'm not going to get Botox here, Botox here, Botox here, Botox here, Botox here. I'm getting it here and here.
So I want to be clear. I have no fucks to give if she wants to get Botox or do any sort of cosmetic procedures on her face. Not my thing, but if that's what she wants to do, that's fine. Here's the thing that I have an issue with. Why is it that going in getting literal like Botox is essentially poison. There's a poisonous element to Botox that you're putting in your face. Now, will you get sick from it? You could, but it's unlikely. We're just gonna look at the fact that it is in fact a poison that you can inject into your face, and that's part of what it's a also like a paralytic agent, and that's why those your face doesn't move and shit when you first get it. But why is it that is perfectly fine in her book, and yet if you were to go and have a reasonable calorie restriction with regular exercise, she would say you are engaging in ED diet culture behavior. Why is one okay and not the other? Like not the ED diet culture behavior, but like the reduced caloric intake, doing things that are in a see. Here's the thing: you want to like anti-diet pilot and people like her like to say that any sort of restriction is a form of disordered eating, and yet do you not, and not only that, but it's fat phobic. Well, isn't getting Botox ageist then? If losing intentionally losing weight is fat phobic, wouldn't getting Botox be ageist? Genuinely. Like, I'm not, again, I really have no fucks to give. It's her face. She can do whatever the fuck she wants. But I just find the hypocrisy an interesting thing to look at here. Because someone intentionally losing weight in a healthy way, and that's part of the issue is that she doesn't think there's a healthy way to lose weight, and there 100% is. Why is that engaging in fat phobia, engaging in diet culture, and it just like an inherently bad thing? But getting Botox and getting cosmetic procedures, no matter how you do it, is fine. It's the hypocrisy for me. Like you want we all have things that we want to focus on. For me, it is my weight. I want to keep my weight under control, and I also want to get really strong. That's what's important to me. I have wrinkles on my forehead. I have do they bug me sometimes? Yes, I'm not gonna fucking lie and say I'm 100% confident all the time about them. No, I do have a little bit of insecurity around them, but ultimately I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'm far more concerned with being at a healthy weight and being and having muscle retention. The fine lines and shit, it's the fine lines and shit. I also have some gray hairs. Am I dyeing my hair? Fuck no, because I don't want to fuck with that. It's just a matter of priorities, and that's fine. But to condemn others for what they choose to do with their bodies because it doesn't align with whatever social justice rhetoric that you have decided to adopt. And this is part of the reason why I'm also like, I don't know, I almost feel like, given what we've seen from Anti-Diet Pilot, this is something, now this is not my idea per se. This wasn't something that necessarily crossed my mind, but this is someone I heard someone else say a while back while I was going through just some different fat acceptance content. And I thought it was an interesting potential comment is that she's she goes to the gym regularly. She often eats relatively healthy. She has gained some weight, but in general she's not um obese. She might be a little overweight, but she's not obese. And given her general personality, some people have suggested in the past that she is part of this movement in order to encourage women, like other women, to get fat and in the name of body positivity and stuff. So that way she can feel like she has an upper hand. Given her personality and from what I've seen, I would not put that outside the realm of possibility. Do I think that's what she's actively doing? I genuinely don't know. But I thought it was an interesting perspective that I've seen some other people voice. And there is something about like demonizing diet culture and intentional weight loss while getting Botox and then preaching body positivity that just here's the thing. I think that you can be body positive and get Botox just as I think you can be body positive and then pursue intentional weight loss. I don't have an issue with it, but condemning one and being fine with the other wh- uh, while actively talking about body positivity is what feels weird to me.
I'm gonna ruffle some feathers with this one. I just literally don't care anymore. If you work in customer service and you are somebody who hates your job and you're having a bad day and you are rude to every single customer that comes your way, including the ones who are extremely nice to you, just quit your job. Quit your job. Okay, it's probably not for you. That job is not only making you miserable, it's making everyone you come in contact with miserable. And I would say that's like a moral like obligation to quit your job at that point because you're not doing any good for the world. I just had a call about I had a billing question because I have this random charge on my bill that I've never seen before, and it's a high charge. It's not like a cheap like $20 charge. So I just wanted to figure out what it was. I've never seen it before. I tried to look it up online. I didn't see anything. So of course, naturally, the next step is to contact customer service. They only have a phone number, no email form. I did try that too. And I called and she said, "Hello, my name is blah, blah, blah. How can I help?" And I explained the issue. She asked me for my social security number. I said, "I'm not super comfortable giving my social over the phone. Like, is there a different way you can identify me? What's your address? What's this? What's that? Not that. I asked for this." And as soon as she said that, I was like, "Ma'am, are we not supposed to verify this way? I didn't mean to agitate you in any way. No, just answer the question. I didn't ask that." And I was like, "Oh God, this is how this is gonna go." And I'm gonna ruffle some feathers with this one. I just
Here's the thing. So I have a couple of there's a couple of layers to this video that I want to talk about. One, tell me, like honestly, I get serious vibes from Anti-Diet Pilot from general things that we've seen from her that she probably comes from a level of money. Like I get the feeling that her family has never been like working class or lower. I feel like she's always had and not it doesn't necessarily have to be upper crust. Like I'm not saying that her family's rich, but I don't get the feeling that she's ever felt the fear of financial instability, you know? And so like to say that it's a moral obligation to quit your job when you're no longer happy and like snapping at people, and you shouldn't snap at people in a customer service job. You shouldn't, but any of us that have worked in any form of customer service um would understand that there are days where it's been one thing after another, and after a while, you get fucking sick of it. Like, I worked at a public library. I had on more than one occasion someone get really agitated, being absolutely fucking rude, like unbelievably rude. And I I personally kept on my customer service facade, but it was also my first job, so and I was incredibly insecure and felt like everything was my fault all the time. So that's part of the reason why. But I don't know, like given her personality, I have a hard time believing that she was as sweet as she is trying to portray here. We're only getting her side of the conversation, but also just the general fact that she is like, even people who are being really nice to you, like you should quit your job because you weren't uber patient and nice to me the entire time on the phone tells me that you have never had to work a job that you hate because you desperately needed the money, and you've never had a family member that had, at least not that you witnessed, that had to keep a job they fucking despised because they desperately needed the money. There's just like sometimes her stuff just reeks of privilege. And again, the woman shouldn't have been so like blatantly rude to her. I'm not saying that the woman was 100% in the right by any means. I'm just saying that taking the one bad interaction you've had with this employee on the phone as, you know, demonstrative that they should definitely just quit their job because they're not bringing anything good to it's customer service. It's customer service. I have a feeling that you have never had someone threaten to burn down your place of work because they weren't getting what they wanted. I think that you've probably never had someone toss money or an idea at you, um, at like you are lower than dirt. I think that you probably have never had someone swear at you where security needed to get involved because, you weren't doing exactly what they wanted. I have a feeling that you have not had someone stalk you outside your job uh because they are attracted to you and wanted to keep asking you out on a date even though they were 40 years your senior. Just something I think like you don't we don't know what what the um phone operator went through. I'm not saying that that justifies anything that she does. You do need to keep a level of professionalism in your job, but just as we would hope for grace for ourselves, we sometimes need to extend that grace to others, you know?
I've officially reached the level of not giving a fuck because I walked out of my apartment like this. Crocs, sweater. I literally don't care anymore. That's not good. I feel like that's also a sign of depression, so I've officially reached the level.
And this is another thing where like I just can't help but walking out of the house in Crocs, sweatpants, and a sweater. Where are you going? It did like from what I understand, you work from home. It's not necessarily depression. You could just be having a bad day. Depression is I don't know. It feels like it's trivializing depression. It feels there's just something about this that I want your thoughts on this because I don't know why this is rubbing me the wrong way. I don't know if it's just because we've had a couple of her being kind of tone deaf already that maybe I'm being a little hypercritical, but there's something about this particular TikTok that just rubs me the wrong way. And we're gonna do one more, and then I'm gonna do my manhwa coverage, and then I actually have a game recommendation for y'all.
Y'all are getting a little bit too.
So the caption says it's giving Northwest, and then the comment that she seems to be responding to says, oh, it just says, commented, BB, drop the lash extensions and do lip filler instead. Your eyes are big and pretty. Okay, so let's go ahead and just see. It's only 14 seconds.
Comfortable. I literally love talking to you guys and like I love joking around and whatever, but you cannot leave comments like this. It's giving the same energy as like you should lose weight, you would look so much better. Like y'all are getting a little.
So it's kind of weird because I think that saying that you should get lip filler is a little bit crossing the line in terms of decorum. But she did say that she had been open to like lip filler and Botox and stuff in past videos. She did have this whole one about how she wants to like age gracefully. So like I don't know. There's something where it does feel like it's crossed the line a little bit, but to like call this person out over it, I don't know if that's really warranted. This is another one where I kind of want your guys' opinion on it. Go ahead and let me know in the comments. And for now, we're gonna go ahead and go over some manhwa. Okay, so I'm in the middle of reading more chapters in this. This is the reason for the twin ladies disguise. It's the one where the girl dresses up as her brother and goes to the place for nights. She's already risked her life for the prince, which is winning the prince over. This okay, this is something that so we're on chapter what is this? Chapter 13. And this is the beginning of chapter 13 and at the end of chapter 12, the main character was part of this like held hostage situation and was hurt in the process. So the not the prince is actually helping her up, and while thinking, she's a man, and when she picks him up, his hand accidentally touches her chest, right? So this is his reaction. So she was panicked because she thought for sure he figured out she was a woman. And she said, "No, this is not." And he said, "Did you hurt your chest as well?" And then there's this pause. She says, "What?" This guy knows that she's a woman and is just like, what's going to happen here? And she says, "Say that again." The prince says, "I accidentally touched your chest while supporting you, and it was swollen." And so the guy in the back is laughing. And so, like, explain that. Like it's so much fun. Like if you've read up through like this is directly after like a high tense situation. It was so fucking funny when I first read it. Oh my god. So I'm quite enjoying this this series because I don't know why I like humor like this where it's like something that could when it's the dramatic irony, I guess, is that like you know that he feels the swollen chest because it's a woman and those are her breasts. And the fact that he's like thinking that she's more injured than she is just then this is after she drank poison for him, so he's already like hypersensitive to that. Meanwhile, there's someone else in the room that knows what's actually going. This whole thing just makes me laugh so fucking hard. I love this. There was also a new chapter of The Remarried Empress this week, and we got to see Rashta's ending, which surprisingly made me kind of sad for her. Like, she had a heavy hand in her own demise, and I'm not saying that she was a good character, but there was something sad about her ending that even if she kind of like half got what she deserved, at the same time, it also felt like she half was kind of a victim of circumstance at the same time, you know? All right, tapas. So I have not actually read this one yet because I found out that Villains Are Destined to Die is on tapas and they have a wait until free option, which is fucking amazing. And you get the first 19 chapters for free. So this Villains Are Destined to Die was the second manhwa I ever started. And it's this woman that had a horribly abusive family. Her mother died, and she was an affair child. And so the father brought them in. Her brothers were absolutely horrible to her, and her father was indifferent to her. So she lived this kind of horrible life. And then, and then, uh, she starts playing this game and ends up kind of really getting invested in it. And then the first mode has you playing this very sweet character that everyone loves, and then the hard mode has you play the villain. So she started playing the hard mode. She played all hours of the night, fell asleep, and woke up in the villainess's body. And the villainess's name is Penelope. And then as she's playing through, you can kind of see, well, Penelope might have been a villain, but she was treated like dog shit by she was pricked and poked and injured by servants. She was treated as less than human in a lot of cases. The brothers were constantly mean to her. She was framed for stealing something that she didn't. The father had no real fucks to give about her. And so the the main character is essentially playing through this game, and there's a lot of game elements to it that suggest that she's sucked in, but like what happened to her real body we don't know. So she's primarily trying to survive. Now, I've read through I think 120 chapters, but that was in like bootleg fan translations. I'm reading through this is the official translation that I'm actually reading through now. And I'm going through everything again because like at one point after about chapter 110 in the fan translations, they just stopped fucking making sense. Like you had to kind of glean what was happening through very rough translations and then the pictures. So I'm looking forward to reading through everything that goes with this. There are some things that I want to say about this, and that is that there's a lot of toxicity in this, and it's literal toxicity from all sides, from pretty much every love interest has a level of toxicity to him. The side characters have a level of toxicity, and Penelope herself, whether you want to see it as the character from the game or the person that's playing the character, they both have their own toxic elements because they treat these everyone as though they are part of the game and not as actual people, and that has major repercussions down the line where she isn't very kind to a very mentally fragile character. Like there's a lot of fucked upness in this series. It's very good. I've really enjoyed a lot of it. But you have to be comfortable with a level of darkness because there is a fair amount of darkness in terms of there's no like devil summoning or anything like that we've seen in some of the other ones. It's not that kind of darkness, but it's very human darkness. Some people are like emotionally abusive for sure, mentally abusive. I can't remember whether there's physical abuse in this series or not, but it's just something to be aware of. I quite like it. I think that there's a lot of interesting things happening in this series, and I think, and as you can see, like the slave auction, she does, one of the love interests starts out as a slave that is freed and was later to meant to be picked up by the Duke himself, her father, but she decides to try to preempt that by going to the slave auction house where he was being sold and buying him. That's where we're at with chapter 22. And so, like, there's just a lot in this series that you have to be comfortable with in order to enjoy the story. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there for anyone that would be interested or like follows these manhwas that I read. It's a good series, but you have to, there's a level of discomfort in reading it at the same time. So I just wanted to put that out there. We're going on longer than I thought, so I think I'm gonna save the game recommendations for next time. And it's an open slot. No one ever requested something for the last video, so I think we might do something else with TikTok. So thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.